Guys, Faxinado here with the Pure Chords app. In this video I would like to show you how the app is integrated with the Sonic Core Scope environment. Aside from the normal Java server that we have for this app, there's also now a server for Scope, which is basically just a Scope device. You can see here we have 3 of these open, 1, 2, and 3. The reason I have 3 open is because the app itself allows for multiple instance usage, so you could be using up to 3 copies of the app, and we'll show this in this video as well. So everything in regards to how to set up the network and how to, the network basically, look at the Pure Chords manual or at the Pure Chords app videos. In this video we assume that you've done all that. Maybe you've already messed around with the Java server. And now as a Scope user, you want to get into the Scope devices. So let's get right into it. If you look at the device, it's basically a one-to-one almost representation of what you see on the app. As well as the second page here, everything that is sent over Ask is represented here. So including the CC numbers, but of course not including stuff that goes on only in the app itself, like the modulations and etc. So the connectivity between these two things happens just the same as the Java app via the network. You don't need to set up anything regarding to Ask, exactly the same way. So all you have to do is open the Scope server, open the app, and the important thing to know is that you need to set, if we look over on this version of the app, this copy of the app, sorry, by default the app is set to 9000, which is the listening port that the Java server listens to. The Scope server listens to port 8000 and not 9000, and this is actually very nice for you because you can at the same time, you can go crazy, you can open the servers in Scope as well as the Java server. They don't bother each other. You can have one, let's say, laptop listening to port 8000, one other PC listening to port 9000. Just gives you better options, but you still obviously need to take the step of changing the port number to 8000 if you want to use it with the Scope server. So once you do this, you can confirm the settings and you will hear it play. So what are we actually playing here? As you saw, I have 3 of these guys open over here. In my settings tab, I will set the ID. Right now it's set to 1, so we're looking at the very first one, and as you can see, the very first one is actually going to a Scope plugin, our very own Ocean Swift Pi 2525. Everything that you do here, including, let's say, setting the octaves, if I set it now, let's say -1, that will move the octave. I can go into drone mode and it will obviously show over here that we are in drone mode now. So like I said, everything is represented over here on the computer. Of course, all these sliders as well. If I now move a slider, it'll move it. So like we said, this is set up for the first ID. And the first ID is going into a Scope plugin. But I also, like I said, I have 2 more over here. So let's leave this one, controlling the Pi 2525, and move on to this one, just to show how we're working with multiple instances. So let's set this one to, okay, now it's already set to ID number 3. Let's put it on ID number 2. So let's see, the second one over here is this one, ID 2, and I think it's this one, and it's going to the sequencer MIDI destination, which is basically my Ableton. So at the moment, if I play this one, again, it's playing the Pi 2525, but if I play, as you can see, nothing happens on Ableton. Of course it shouldn't. But if I play this one, then obviously it's playing on Ableton. And you can of course do not just play the notes, you can of course assign any of the sliders, X, Y, and whatever, to any of the parameters over here. So for example, if we go into MIDI learn mode and we take the filter frequency and then move one of these, and it immediately catches on. Get out of MIDI mode, and now moving the slider over here, we'll move the frequency knob over here. So of course, again, you can play them both now. 2 instances. Now I don't have another phone or tablet at the moment with me, but like we said, you can open even a third instance, 3 instances. So let's say we go to number 3 over here, and this is connected, as you can see, to my scope MIDI A destination, which is basically this physical cable that is going into this beautiful Yamaha A1X. So of course, to control it again, we have to set one of our one of our copies of the app to the third instance, ID number 3, confirm the settings, and now if I play here, it's playing on the Yamaha. Now of course you can assign also, again, sliders, buttons, X, Y pad to any parameter on a physical synth. On the Yamaha, it's not so, there's no MIDI learn on the Yamaha, so I just went online, looked at the MIDI CC chart, and I took out the resonance and the filter cutoff. They call it brightness. They call the resonance harmonic and the filter cutoff brightness. So more power to you, Yamaha. Anyways, so the XY number 1, X is connected to the filter cutoff and Y is connected to the resonance, just for the example. So if I play now, and of course, just to show that anything you do, of course here, the XY itself, which one was it? Number 3. So it's this one, and moving the XY obviously moves it over here. And we can try, I don't know, with another preset. So it's really simple to set up. Once you set up the network one time, you know, I can totally close everything. Just to show you how simple it is. You know, people might have kind of maybe looks daunting to set up the network, but let's just close everything. I'm closing everything right now. Closing Ableton. Okay, nothing on the PC. Let's open Scope again. Oops, let's go back in here. And let's drag the Pure Chords, the Pure Chords scope over here. Let's take it to the scope MIDI. Where is the, where did it go? Scope, there it is, scope MIDI destination, connect it. Now the one thing that is important is as you open the app for the first time, just as you open it, all the CCs are reset, because it's basically looks for information, from CC information from the app, and there is none yet because it hasn't received it. So all you have to do is, just as you open the app, go in here, click on Reset CC. Oops, sorry, you have to be, of course, on the right ID. I'm sorry, just 1 second. So ID1, Reset CC, and it's not doing it for some reason. There we go. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, I have to confirm. Once it's confirmed, all the CCs are reset, and you can work. If you don't do this step, of course, all the CCs are on 0, which is okay as well. They're just not set to anything. So in order for them to have something, you need to either reset them or put in your own via the app. One last thing that I want to show is that you can, of course, use this just as a, okay, now it's not connected to the audio anymore. Never mind, but I just want to show that you can use this as a standalone controller with the mouse. You can just, you know, play the keyboard with your mouse, just like this one, the Scope keyboard. Except in this one, you have a little bit more options. You can, of course, connect this thing and use the MIDI CCs that you assign over here, and then just move the slider. These also respond to control settings, so if you want to use any other MIDI controller, if you want to use this like as a sort of man in the middle for another MIDI controller, no problem as well. And that's it basically. So all the options are implemented. It's very, very super easy. As you can see, just open the device and connect it to anything. You can control external hardware, you can control scope devices, you can control your DAW, you can control up to 3, you can use up to 3 apps with this setup, and you can use this Java server at the same time if you are so inclined. The possibilities are really just up to you. So have a look at the Pure Chords app and the scope. For the scope users, I think this is especially amazing for you because you have so many options on how to use this app. See you later, guys.